There's a place in the Nevada desert that didn't officially exist until 2013, a blank spot on the map, wrapped in silence, guarded by the kind of secrecy usually reserved for nuclear weapons. It's called Area 51. For decades, it's been the heart of America's greatest mystery. But this story isn't just about UFOs or conspiracy theories. It's about a man who stepped out of the shadows and forced the world to look. A man who said he didn't just see alien craft, he worked on them. But what makes his story impossible to ignore is how specific it was. He named locations that didn't appear on any map. He described technology that didn't exist yet. And years later, some of those crazy details turned out to be real. Back in the 1950s, the world was holding its breath. The Cold War had turned Earth into a chessboard where every move could mean the difference between dominance and destruction. The US and the Soviet Union were building eyes in the sky. Whoever could see more, know more, and move faster would win. That's where America's secret weapon came in, a small, isolated patch of desert that would become one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Lockheed's Skunk Works division, led by the brilliant engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson, was tasked with an impossible mission: build a plane that could fly higher than any radar could see and spy on the Soviets without being shot down. Johnson's team was a handful of engineers working under crushing deadlines, using napkin sketches and bending the laws of physics to make the impossible real. But there was one problem. They needed a place to test this plane, where no one, not the Soviets, not even most of the US government, could find them. That's when they stumbled upon Groom Lake. From above, it looked like nothing, just a blinding white dry lake bed surrounded by miles of Nevada desert. But that emptiness was its power. The isolation made it perfect for secrecy. Hidden by mountains and tucked inside restricted airspace, Groom Lake offered both silence and invisibility. In 1955, the CIA and the US Air Force quietly claimed it as their new testing ground. The site didn't even exist on public maps. Now, about that name, Area 51. It wasn't chosen because it sounded mysterious or futuristic. It came from the Atomic Energy Commission's map grid system, which divided the Nevada test site into numbered zones. Area 51 just happened to be one of those zones, sitting next to nuclear test ranges where America was detonating bombs underground. But unlike those test zones, this one wasn't for explosions. It was for experiments, the kind no one was supposed to see. Even paperwork about the site avoided the word classified. The fewer official records, the better. Employees were flown in on unmarked planes, given cover jobs, and told never to discuss what they saw. Lockheed even came up with a friendly name to make the place sound harmless: Paradise Ranch. It was a psychological trick. Calling it Paradise made it sound like a vacation spot instead of a top-secret military installation in the middle of nowhere. That ranch would soon become the birthplace of the U-2 spy plane, the world's first true high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft. It could fly at 70,000 feet, higher than any missile could reach, capturing images so detailed they changed the course of the Cold War. But as the tests continued, strange lights and shapes began appearing in the desert sky. Commercial pilots reported shiny objects darting through the air faster than any known plane. And that's where the myth-making started. The government couldn't confirm or deny anything, so speculation filled the silence. Every unexplained flash of light became a potential alien encounter. Every rumor of a crash or sighting led curious minds back to the same question: what's really going on out there in the Nevada desert? But Groom Lake wasn't done writing history. After the U-2 came Project Oxcart, a next-generation aircraft designed to be faster, higher, and even more invisible to radar. This became the A-12, which would later evolve into the legendary SR-71 Blackbird, a plane so fast that no missile ever caught it. Each new project pushed technology beyond what anyone thought possible, and each layer of secrecy grew thicker. Even the Air Force's radar operators didn't always know what they were tracking. Then came HAV Blue, the prototype that led to the F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth fighter. Its sharp, angular shape defied traditional aircraft design, and it too took its first flights over Groom Lake from spy planes to stealth bombers. Every revolutionary leap in US aviation had one thing in common: it was born in that same isolated basin under the same silent rules. By now, Area 51 had become more than a testing site. It was a black hole of information. What went in never came out. Engineers, pilots, and scientists rotated through, under fake names and untraceable records. The CIA used it as its first true black site, a place where no one outside the inner circle even knew operations were happening. Even presidents had limited knowledge of what was going on there. And with that level of secrecy, something was bound to happen. A lie or two to cover a classified project here, a denial of radar anomalies there. Each layer of secrecy protected national security, but it also built the foundation for a legend. People started to wonder, if the government was hiding this much, what else could it be hiding? It started in 1947, when a rancher in Roswell, New Mexico, stumbled across strange debris scattered across his land. The local army base claimed it was a flying disc. Then, just a day later, they took it back and said it was a weather balloon. That quick reversal lit the fuse. People didn't forget it. If anything, they started paying more attention to what was flying overhead and what the government wasn't saying. Roswell changed everything. Newspapers splashed headlines about flying saucers. Witnesses swore they saw bodies, metallic wreckage, and trucks rushing into the desert at night. And while official reports buried the story, the idea had already taken root. Maybe something out there wasn't human. As the Cold War intensified, UFO sightings began multiplying shiny discs, cigar-shaped crafts, glowing orbs. People across America claimed to see them, especially near military bases. The more the government brushed them off, the more people believed something was being hidden. That's when the US Air Force stepped in with Project Blue Book. Starting in 1952, the project catalogued more than 12,000 UFO sightings. On the surface, it looked like the government was taking things seriously. But behind the scenes, Blue Book had one mission: explain it all away. Weather phenomena, aircraft reflections, experimental flights, anything but aliens. In the end, they labelled 701 cases unexplained, but still insisted there was nothing to worry about. The contradiction only made things worse. People thought, if there's nothing to hide, why so much effort hiding it? And right around that same time, something new was taking to the skies over Nevada. Aircraft no one had ever seen before. These weren't UFOs, but they might as well have been. At Groom Lake, test pilots were flying the U-2 spy plane, a sleek silver craft designed to soar at 70,000 feet, twice the height of commercial jets. At sunset, when the light hit its metallic body, it glowed like a flame against the darkening sky. Civilians below had no clue what they were seeing. As the years went on, the tests only got stranger. The SR-71, Blackbird and A-12 ox carts sliced through the atmosphere, leaving fiery trails that twisted and vanished in seconds. Radar operators often mistook them for something extraterrestrial. But the Air Force couldn't correct the record without exposing classified programs, so they let the rumours grow. The public's fascination with UFOs was, in a twisted way, useful. It distracted people from the real story, America's race to build aircraft no one could detect. This is where truth blending with secrecy took hold. The sky became a canvas where real experiments and wild speculation blurred together. When the government said nothing, the silence became the story. People were reacting to a mystery the military itself had created. By the late 1970s, the idea that Area 51 was more than just a testing ground had already taken shape. Books started hinting that secret hangars in Nevada were housing something otherworldly. Fringe radio hosts and late-night programs fed the curiosity, connecting dots that didn't exist. Area 51 became shorthand for where they keep the aliens. What had started as Cold War paranoia was now turning into pop mythology. That's when a man stepped out of the shadows on live television, claiming he'd seen what everyone else only guessed. It was May 1989. On a Las Vegas TV station, an interview aired that would change how the world looked at Area 51 forever. Sitting in shadow, his face hidden, was a man who called himself Dennis. His real name, as viewers would soon learn, was Bob Lazar. He was an insider, someone who had worked on alien spacecraft in a secret facility just south of Area 51, a place called S4. Lazar's story sounded like science fiction, but it hit the world like a lightning bolt. He told KLAS reporter George Knapp that he'd been hired by the government to help reverse engineer alien technology. Not rumours, not stories, actual flying saucers. 9 of them, stored in hangars built into a mountainside near Papoose Lake. Each one, he said, was different, as if they came from various sources. The way he described their propulsion system was even more mind-bending. According to Lazar, the crafts didn't rely on fuel or engines in the traditional sense. Instead, they used a reactor powered by a mysterious element he called Element 115. This reactor could generate a gravitational field strong enough to bend space-time around the craft. It fell through its own distorted gravity bubble, like dropping a marble on a stretched rubber sheet. Wherever the marble rolled, space itself curved around it. That's how these saucers could move silently, make sharp turns, and vanish in an instant. But Lazar didn't stop there. He insisted that this technology wasn't new. It had been in government hands for decades. Recovered from crash sites, stored and studied by select teams who couldn't fully understand it. He painted a picture of compartmentalized research, where scientists worked in total isolation, never seeing the full project. And he said most of them weren't even told the truth about what they were working on. But Lazar's story came with consequences. Within days of his interview, media outlets across the country swarmed the story. Area 51, once a footnote in aviation history, exploded into public consciousness. UFO enthusiasts treated Lazar like a whistleblower. Skeptics accused him of making it all up. The government said nothing, which, ironically, made everything sound more believable. Silence became confirmation. George Knapp's continued coverage only fanned the flames. He visited the outskirts of Area 51 with Lazar, who pointed out where test flights occurred. Soon, crowds of locals began gathering at night, camping in the desert to catch a glimpse of mysterious lights. Some swore they saw glowing orbs performing impossible maneuvers. Yet there were cracks in the story. Reporters couldn't find evidence of Lazar's alleged degrees from MIT or Caltech. His employment records at Los Alamos National Laboratory were missing. But Lazar countered that everything had been erased, a cover-up meant to destroy his credibility. Regardless of what anyone believed, one thing was certain. Bob Lazar had changed the game. He took decades of rumours and gave them a face, a name, and a voice. For the first time, someone claimed to have worked inside the myth. At the time, though, this sounded ridiculous. In the late 1980s, the periodic table didn't list any Element 115. Scientists had only theorized about it as part of a set of super-heavy, unstable elements that couldn't exist naturally. So to mainstream scientists, Lazar was either a delusional genius or a really creative liar. His claims made for incredible TV but zero lab evidence. Still, he stuck to his story. He described the alien reactor's shape, how it had a metallic dome, how 3 amplifiers controlled its output, and how the element inside was stable enough to sustain constant power. Then came 2003, and the plot thickened. A team of Russian and American scientists managed to synthesize a new element, moscovium, and officially named it Element 115. It was unstable, decaying in less than a second. But to Lazar's supporters, that didn't matter. The name alone was enough. They said, "He called it in 1989. Suddenly the man everyone mocked had predicted an element that didn't exist when he first spoke of it. Still, what made Lazar's story stick wasn't just Element 115, it was the mechanics he described. He claimed that the reactor produced a gravity wave, which could be focused and amplified through something he called a waveguide amplifier. In his words, this allowed the craft to manipulate gravity fields around it. That's why UFOs seem to make impossible movements, sharp turns, instant stops, no sound, no inertia. Now that might sound crazy until you compare it with what modern theoretical physics actually says. Concepts like quantum gravity, space-time curvature, and gravitational waves are now part of serious scientific research. Einstein predicted that massive objects bend space and time, and in 2015, scientists actually detected gravitational waves for the first time, ripples in space-time from colliding black holes. Theoretically, if you could control gravity, you could travel anywhere, almost instantly. So while Lazar's explanation was crude and filled with holes, It weirdly paralleled ideas that physics would later begin to explore seriously. The story takes us 30 miles south of Area 51 to a place that doesn't appear on any official map, a facility Bob Lazar called S4. According to him, this was a secret base built directly into the Papoose Range Mountains, hidden so well that you could fly right over it and never know it existed. Lazar described it as a massive underground complex, carved straight into solid rock. Each hangar door, he said, was angled perfectly into the mountainside and disguised with sand-textured paint to blend with the desert terrain. From the air, it looked like a natural part of the landscape. From the inside, it looked like something out of a different world. He claimed there were 9 flying saucers, each stored in its own bay. The craft were different sizes and designs, suggesting they came from different origins, or at least from different experiments. The hangars were workshops for reverse engineering alien technology. Armed security guarded every hallway, every entrance, and every conversation scientists worked, under such extreme compartmentalization that no one was allowed to know what the person next door was doing. If someone worked on the propulsion system, they'd have no idea what the team next door was studying, whether it was the control systems, the materials, or the biological components. Everything was fragmented to prevent anyone from understanding the full picture. Lazar described his daily routine in stunning detail. Every day started in Las Vegas, where he boarded a small unmarked Janet flight, those mysterious white planes with red stripes that ferried workers to Area 51. After landing at Groom Lake, he and a small group would board a bus with blacked-out windows. They'd drive south, past the edge of Groom Lake, until they reached the S4 installation. Once inside, he said, the air was heavy with secrecy. Security checkpoints were everywhere. No talking in hallways, no eye contact with certain personnel. Only access to what you were directly assigned to. Lazar's job, he said, was to work on the power source of one of the crafts, the reactor that supposedly ran on element 115. He described the reactor as small enough to hold in your hands, silent and capable of bending gravity around itself. During one test, he claimed to have seen the reactor operating, a bright bluish glow hovering above a circular plate, generating a gravitational field so strong that objects above it would float. But it wasn't just the technology that haunted him. There was a brief moment, he said, when he saw something that changed everything. During one of the tests, while being escorted down a hallway, he looked through a small window into a lab and saw a small being standing next to 2 men in lab coats. He said it was roughly child-sized with a large head and that it moved like it was communicating with the scientists. But before he could take a closer look, his escort pulled him away and warned him never to talk about it again. Later, he was told the being was probably a dummy used for size reference, but he never believed that explanation. He couldn't confirm if it was alive, robotic, or something else entirely, but that one glimpse stuck with him forever. When Bob Lazar's identity was finally revealed, everything changed overnight. Before that, he'd been just another anonymous scientist with a story too wild to believe. Afterward, he became the man who broke Area 51 open to the world. News crews parked outside his house. Strangers followed him. UFO enthusiasts camped near Groom Lake with telescopes and cameras, hoping to catch a glimpse of what he described. What had been a whisper among conspiracy circles suddenly became a national obsession. The government, meanwhile, said nothing. No confirmation, no denial, just silence. And that silence spoke louder than any statement ever could. For many people, it looked like the classic cover-up. The US military ignoring claims it couldn't disprove without admitting something bigger. Lazar, on the other hand, claimed he started getting threats, phone taps, and unmarked cars following him. He said his records began disappearing one by one. One of the most suspicious vanishings was his alleged employment at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Officially, Los Alamos claimed they had no record of him ever working there. But an old Los Alamos Monitor newspaper from 1982 was found, listing Bob Lazar, physicist, right next to stories about particle research. That same article even included a photo of him standing beside a jet-powered car. On top of that, former Los Alamos staff confirmed they remembered seeing him in restricted areas, working alongside scientists. So how could he be both a ghost and a physicist at the same time? Lazar himself never leaned into fame. He didn't go on book tours or cash in on documentaries. In fact, he often refused interviews and said he regretted ever speaking out. He was trying to protect himself. He opened a small business in Michigan, selling scientific equipment, and stayed out of the spotlight. But every few years, someone would bring his name back into the headlines, and the old mystery would flare up again. After Bob Lazar went public, it was like the floodgates opened. Suddenly, he wasn't alone. In the years that followed, a wave of new insiders stepped forward, each with their own version of what was happening behind closed doors. And though their stories differed, they all shared one thing. They began where Lazar left off. The most well-known of them was Dan Burish, a microbiologist who surfaced in the 1990s, claiming he worked at the very same S4 facility Lazar described. But Burish's story went in a new direction. He said he was working on Project Aquarius, a biological research program involving an alien being named J-Rod. According to Burish, J-Rod wasn't a visitor from another planet, but from our own future, a descendant of humanity, thousands of years ahead, who had evolved into a smaller, more fragile form due to radiation and genetic drift. Burish claimed J-Rod was part of a diplomatic exchange, cooperating with scientists to reverse engineer biotechnology that could repair DNA damage. The shocking twist. He said the aliens we think of as greys weren't invaders at all. They were us, coming back in time to fix their own genetic mistakes. It was a mind-bending idea that mixed science fiction with evolutionary theory. And for many, it sounded too bizarre to be fake. Around the same time, a mysterious alien interview tape surfaced, allegedly leaked by a man calling himself Victor. The grainy footage showed what appeared to be a small grey alien sitting behind glass with a shadowy figure in frame. The being looked sick, convulsing, while muffled voices in the background shouted commands. Victor claimed he smuggled the tape out of Area 51 before fleeing the country. Each new whistleblower or leak seemed to follow the same script. Secret bases, alien technology, compartmentalized projects, and terrified insiders breaking their silence. But they also added new elements: biotechnology, time travel, psychic communication. It was as if every storyteller was expanding on Lazar's foundation, building a mythology that evolved with each decade. Even the tone of belief changed. In the 1950s, UFOs were about fear, invasion, abduction, the unknown. By the late 90s and early 2000s, thanks to stories like Lazar's and Burish's, UFOs became about hidden knowledge, the idea that governments were sitting on discoveries that could change the world. When Bob Lazar first told the world about flying saucers in the Nevada desert, few imagined his story would ripple through pop culture the way it did. But the 90s were the perfect storm. Paranoia, post-Cold War curiosity, and a growing distrust of the government. Hollywood turned it into a spectacle. Suddenly, what Lazar described in hushed tones became blockbuster material. In 1996, Independence Day hit theaters, a movie that literally placed Area 51 at the heart of an alien invasion. The film's president gives one of the most iconic speeches in movie history, standing inside a secret desert base, surrounded by crashed UFOs and reverse-engineered tech. And the US military was supposed to help the filmmakers with equipment and air support until they refused to remove Area 51 from the script. The Pentagon cut ties immediately. That one decision said a lot. It wasn't that the movie was revealing secrets. It was that the myth had become too close to something they didn't want to talk about. And that silence only made people more curious. After that, Hollywood couldn't stop. Just a year later, Men in Black gave audiences a slick, comedic version of government agents cleaning up extraterrestrial messes. Its secret base, filled with alien tech and weird creatures, was an obvious nod to the same legend Lazar started. From there, it became part of the culture's DNA TV shows like The X-Files, Roswell, and even Stargate kept returning to the same desert, the same mysterious military base that no one could prove existed. Then came the games: Area 51, Half-Life, Call of Duty, Black Ops. All featured secret labs, alien tech, and soldiers trying to keep the truth buried. Even casual gamers were subconsciously learning the narrative. The irony is almost poetic. The more the story was mocked, the more it spread. What started as a conspiracy theory turned into entertainment so huge that no one could separate the parody from the possibility. Every film and series added another coat of paint until the truth beneath it didn't matter anymore. Decades after Bob Lazar first described S4, the world finally heard the US government admit something strange. Area 51 was real. In 2013, the CIA quietly released declassified documents confirming its existence. A move that stunned no one, but vindicated everyone who'd been called crazy for believing it. The files didn't mention aliens or sources, of course, but they detailed decades of experimental aircraft programs, secret flights, and Cold War espionage. For believers, it was proof that the government had been lying all along. Then came 2019. A random Facebook joke changed everything. A man named Matty Roberts created an event titled Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. What started as a meme exploded overnight. Millions clicked going. Hundreds of thousands shared it. For a brief moment, the planet collectively fixated on one idea. Maybe, just maybe, it was time to find out what's really behind those gates. People booked flights, made costumes, and drove through the desert just to stand near the perimeter. The US military even issued a statement warning against any actual storming. That's how blurred the lines had become between a meme and a potential mass protest. In September that year, a few thousand people actually showed up in Nevada. No one broke in, of course, but the headlines were everywhere. The event turned into a festival, a mix of cosplay, music, and conspiracy theories, all rolled into one surreal weekend. In the end, it doesn't matter if the hangars at S4 ever held flying saucers. What matters is that one man's story changed how millions of people think about power, secrecy, and truth. And if history's taught us anything, it's this. Every myth starts with a whisper until someone dares to listen. So maybe the real question isn't whether Bob Lazar saw aliens, but whether the world was finally ready to believe him.